Hi, I'm Libra. Welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your January 2021 love reading. Hope you guys are having a good holiday season and a happy new year. And thank you to those of you who've liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. As far as personal readings go, I'm actually going to start them back up again in January. I'm not sure exactly when in January though, so when I do start them up again, I'll make an update in the community section of the channel. As far as what we have in front of us, it's what I call the bridge and the gap spread, and the way it works is the cards on the left side represent your energy toward the connection with your main love interest. Cards on the right side represent their energy toward the connection. And we'll look at the past energies, present energies, future energies, and then once we get through all those, we'll actually pull some oracle cards for some additional insight. That's where the bridging the gap dynamic comes into play. And as far as the decks being used, on the left side we have the Lover's Path Tarot, on the right side we have the Tarot of Sexual Magic. Also, keep in mind it's a general reading, so I'm going to be referring to the cards on the left as your energy and the cards on the right as theirs. If you feel like it should be the other way around, then definitely trust that. Alright, so with all that out of the way, past energy on your side, we have the Five of Staves in reverse, which is Leo energy, and Judgment in reverse, which I usually see as Scorpio energy. So really, to me, these two cards show me that this is someone you definitely had a history with. You might have even possibly been in a connection with them in the past. But with these two cards coming up in reverse, to me, the Five of Staves in reverse shows to me that, maybe you didn't want to compete for their attention, for example. So maybe you thought that they had a lot of people that were in their circle, and you felt like, well, I don't really, want to have to feel like I'm competing for their attention and their time. And with the Judgment card in reverse, we get that similar vibe to where, you might have saw that they were getting some kind of attention and decided, yeah, you know what, I'm not really going to come back around to this person. Even though it does apparently appear as though, thoughts of doing so might have come to your mind, but it just looks like you never actually took action on it. All right. Past energy on their side, we have the Ace of Pentacles and the Hermit, which is Virgo energy. So could just be saying that they actually probably wanted something stable with you, but at the same time, I don't necessarily feel like they expressed that either. So obviously, we could see the problem when you have two people who aren't expressing themselves. But especially with the Virgo energy too, which for you guys is your 12th house. So communication might have felt a little bit difficult between the two of you. You might have felt like whatever they might have said to you, you felt like you might not have been able to trust it, for example, because that's what could happen sometimes when people have placements in your 12th house. And then on the same token, they could have just been very withdrawn themselves. So, it could have even been something where they too were assuming that you had someone else in the picture too. If we look at this, let's say that represents them, and then they see, oh, well, it looks like Libra's with someone else, so they might have kept those feelings to themselves too. Present position on your side, we have the Two of Cups. So this is Cancer energy here. And on the one hand, toward the very end of December, we're actually going to have a full moon in the sign of Cancer. So it could be pointing to that as far as the timeline goes. If that's the case, it looks like there's definitely going to be some communication between the two of you, possibly even an expression of feelings. Now, the Two of Cups in this deck always stands out to me compared to pretty much every other deck that I've seen, because in the background there, if I could get it to focus, you could see like it looks like there was a storm that took place. One of the cups is knocked over. So to me, when I see this Two of Cups in particular, it shows me that, yeah, probably was a bit of a bumpy road for you guys to get to this point, and like we said, we could definitely see that potential in the past where it looks like neither of you were expressing yourselves, and possibly were both assuming, oh, this person has someone else in their lives, I'm not even going to bother, even though the desire might have been there. So looks like you guys could just be getting to that point now where there's finally going to be some expression. And, interestingly enough, too, we pretty much just had that new moon eclipse in Sagittarius, which is your third house communication. So that could be the timeline where there's primarily might have started taking place, since that's your house communication. There might have been some communication around that, or at least some insight into the situation. By the time we get to that full moon in Cancer toward the end of December, there might be the actual expression. And the present position on their side, we have the Nine of Wands. So, speaking of Sagittarius energy, this actually represents the middle 10 degrees of Sagittarius, and which is where that new moon eclipse took place. So, here I see this as them just being a bit guarded and doesn't want to focus that either. But yeah, I see them as being a bit guarded, which is generally the way that the Nine of Wands is. But it looks like between the two of you, you might be a bit more open as far as the communication goes, and that might even be for some of you what that one spilled cup might represent. You know, where one person's just not quite there yet versus the other. But I do definitely see the communication. That's what those birds to me usually signify, that there's actual communication taking place. But yeah, it could just be one person's a little bit more blocked off, and it could definitely be that person, to be fair, because like I said, with that hermit energy, looks like they might not have expressed themselves in the past either. Future energy on your side, we have balance, which again, we see Sagittarius energy here. This is the equivalent of the temperance card. And Nine of Coins, which is Virgo energy. So seeing these two things, I feel like this is saying that for a lot of you, this might actually strike a balance that you're happy with, where on the one hand, you definitely have that connection between the two of you and it's strong and everything, but at the same time, it looks like there's that independent streak that you guys can still maintain within the connection too. So that's what I'm really seeing there with these two cards, and that might be what you end up discovering about this person too. You know, part of what you might have viewed as disinterest, for example, could just be pointing to the fact that they might just be pretty independent, you know, and then you realize, oh, okay, cool, so the interest is there, we could totally be together and things could be great, but at the same time, we could still maintain that independence because, you know, it's just not one of those types of connections, right, where you need to be in each other's laps 24/7. And then the future energy on their side, we have the Three of Chalices. So this is actually a Cancer energy here. So we were just talking about that with the Two of Cups on their side. And then usually this represents fertility, obviously. You know, we do see the egg there on the table, but also obviously we see a lot of passion there as well, and the foundation for a long-standing connection, because usually for me, Three of Cups does represent those long-standing connections. So this definitely overall looks like a pretty good spread on both sides. Like I said, it looks like in the past there was a failure to communicate, but it seemed like both people might have had feelings. And like I said, for some of you, that you could have had a pretty long history with this person and decided, you know, I'm not even going to come back around to them. For others of you, could just be saying that there wasn't really any open communication around feelings. And speaking of communication, bottom of the deck on your side, we have Prince of Arrows, which is the equivalent of the Knight of Swords, which is Gemini energy. So definitely could represent communication here, and also possibly seeing things from a higher perspective too, given that for you guys, Gemini energy is your 9th house, and we do see he's up in the clouds there. So, you know, could just be one of those things where maybe you had a little bit of a shift of perspective toward the connection, and now you're actually ready to communicate how you're feeling. And given that that's up in the clouds too, it could even just say that there might just be some insights that come to you, you know, maybe in the spiritual realm, as opposed to, you know, you actually communicating. Just you might get some signs and synchronicities that point you in their direction. Since it does say Cupid on the card there. And then bottom of the deck on their side, we have the Sun. So obviously this is a light, playful energy. Again, we see all the fruit there, which again makes me think of growth, fertility. So, you know, definitely looks like they're all about the connection as well. So yeah, I mean, it looks, like I said, looks like one of those things where either both of you might have been making assumptions around the connection. Oh, I assumed we was with someone, and you were assuming they were with someone, and there just might not have been an expression of feelings. But it looks like it is going to be opening up for you guys. But let's see what the Oracle cards add to the mix. First, we'll check out the Aqua Moonlight deck. I did pre-shuffle this deck, and what I'm looking for here is just some jumpers as far as unspoken messages from you to them, and then from them to you. And if we shuffle for a while without anything coming up, I'll just take that as a sign to move on to the next Oracle deck. But sometimes we get extra messages here, which can be helpful. Alright, nothing coming up there. So next we'll see if we get any unspoken messages from them to you. Alright, nothing coming up there either, which I don't view as an issue. I mean, this kind of feels a little bit straightforward. But see if we get anything from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck now. And same situation here as far as I did pre-shuffle this deck, but here we're just looking for one card with general advice, and we'll wrap up. Nope, not one there. Alright, you guys got Breathed. There's the artwork, and the number is 29. So let's see what it has to say. Which is interesting because I don't necessarily feel like you guys are feeling any pressure at all. Maybe more this person than anything. So for those of you where, if that's your energy on the right, maybe this will resonate a little more, but we'll see what it says. It says patience, waiting, going slowly, wellness, meditation, trust. The Oracle's message. Patience in all things is called for right now. What do you need to do when you're in a rush? Slow down, of course. Meditate and trust. Breathe and repeat. Humans cannot exist without drawing breath. Now is the time to allow the life-giving element of air to replenish your body, your being, and your very essence. Stop to smell the roses, breathe in the sunlight, and release the darkness, and miracles will appear. So definitely a pretty interesting message there, and like I said, I still almost feel more like that. Well, yeah, I mean, that just really feels more like the person on the right's energy would resonate from that message more, but hopefully that still benefited you. And the relationship message says, don't be in too much of a hurry right now. The heart needs time to open. Take a breath and let nature take its course. Release constriction and anxiety, for there is no need for tension. Savor the moment, and waiting won't prove difficult. Your heart knows what the ego often resists learning. Patience pays off in deep and meaningful ways. Well, I will say, as far as the whole patience thing, I can say that that would make sense as far as with the Nine of Wands on their side. Like I said, I get the feeling that they'll be a bit more guarded. So if you guys make that approach to them, it could just be saying you might need to be a little patient with them as far as opening up. And then as we can see, like I said, with the future position, with the Three of Cups there and the Sun on the bottom of the deck on their side, it looks like they definitely will open up. So it could just be saying, if you make that approach and things don't seem to just take off straight away, just have faith that it'll work out. So overall, this definitely looks like a pretty positive spread. So hopefully it did resonate for most of you. And we'll wrap up there. Like I said, once again, hope you guys are having a good holiday season and a happy new year. And I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.